And we'll take some time just to get grounded. So, I'm inviting you to get into whatever position would help you feel grounded. If you're sitting, your feet on the floor, your back supported by the chair, the couch. I'm inviting you to arrive into your body. And the breath is a wonderful way to do that. It's becoming aware of your body as you breathe in and out. And we'll do a few rounds of humming to deepen our presence. So, with our lips pursed, as we breathe in, we purse our lips, and as we breathe out, we'll take out the M for mother sound at our own pace. One last time. Keeping your attention still inwards, letting the vibrations spread through your body. Let your breath find its new normal. And from this place, take a moment to check in with your intention for coming here. What brings you here to this information session on the Integrated Life Coach certification? What within you feels that it's the time and you want to become a coach now? And while as a coach, we support many people in their journeys, how will that support you? How will supporting others support you? Finally, I invite you to complete this sentence for yourself. with a phrase, a short phrase. Becoming a coach will enable me to dash. Go with the first response that comes up. Becoming a coach will enable me to blank. Fill the blank. And I now invite you back into the space. Take your time. And as you come back, I invite each of you to share your response on the chat box. Becoming a coach will enable me to. Okay. So Shreyash says, deepen empathy to help others and myself. Arjun talks of finding joy and purpose in his work. He talks of staying kind and grounded. Ekta talks of self-reflection. Ruchi talks of helping others. Hi, Ruchi. Bharti and Amrita, are you typing? Okay. What common themes are we seeing in the responses? Amrita talks of fighting my own battle first, be my coach first, find answers to my questions, and then support the quality of helping others naturally. Beautiful. So, just inviting people, what commonalities are you seeing in the responses? You can unmute and share.
And there is an element of self involved first in most of the responses. Plus, there is an element of kindness and help towards others and discovering your own biases or battles.
Thank you for that beautiful summary. Yeah. And it's so lovely that I think in all of these intentions, that underlying thing of doing this for myself also, right? Even in helping others, how am I helping myself? And that is what coaching also does. We are in the time that we're playing the coach role, we're almost like forced to become this person who is kind and compassionate and non-judgmental and fully present, because that's how we can enable things for others. But that is also what we're practicing, the muscle that we're building for our own selves in the process. Bharti also talks of, after undergoing 3 months of intensive practice under a coach, I could feel importance of my happiness and feel deeply that I should contribute in my own way to make others also feel this. Yeah. It's like, and when our vessel is filled, then there is that desire to go out and help others also. Hi, Sudeep. We're just warming up, getting aligned on our intentions for coming here, wanting to become coaches.
Hi, I sorry, I got late.
No
Apologies.
worries. Now you're here. Okay. So very warm welcome to everyone towards this beautiful intention. Um, I'm also reminded of how this is the time of Pitru Paksh when we honor our ancestors. And while there is often talk of generational trauma, there is also a lot of gifts that our ancestors have given us just through who they were. So, taking a moment to acknowledge that and saying that as you do this work for others, you will become that someone who will pay it forward and, you know, make the river flow. So, honoring the ancestor within all of us as well, the future ancestor. Okay, so what have we got today? I wanted to get a sense of how many of you have gone through the document, the pre-read document before, just to get a sense. We'll spend time accordingly on the detail. Amrita hasn't, just you can show through a thumbs up. Okay, so we've got sort of a mixed bag. Okay, so we'll make sure that we're going through everything and we have time for question answers. And if it spills over beyond the 90 minutes, I will stay back as well.
You mean the document
Information
on
document. Yes, yes.
okay, I have like which
Okay.
we read document. I have not read anything for today.
Okay. Fantastic. So you've gone through that. But we'll still go through things. So it's refreshed and we'll have time for question answers. I also want to take a moment to welcome Ekta into the space. Thank you so much for joining, Ekta.
Thank you
Ekta
very
is
much for having me. I mean, it's a pleasure.
So for everyone, Ekta is a Swasth has been engaged in her own journey of self-transformation for quite a while now, and I've had the pleasure and privilege of seeing parts of it and just the extent of that commitment to saying, I want to do this for myself first has been commendable. And last year in our founding batch, Ekta joined the cohort and completed all three phases successfully. And I'm so glad that she is now taking this gift forward to other people and in the process has discovered a lot for herself also. So Ekta is here to share her experiences and answer your questions. Ekta, anything you want to say as we get started?
I can just say we are all at the right place at the right time. Yeah. Well, thanks, Garima, for having me here. And I think it's going to be a very exciting journey. Should you choose to do any of the phases or take it to the end level, every experience with Swasth has been rewarding. And I'm sure most of you are Swasth alumni. This would be like the amalgamation of the reward. But I'll let the flow continue and then we'll circle back should you have questions. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. Okay, so we will delve right into things now. And I have a couple of slides, which I will also share on the group after our session gets over. But essentially, what we're doing today is we'll first spend some time just understanding what is coaching. And within that, what is Swasth's approach to coaching? Because there are many different ways to approach the same thing. After that broad alignment is when we will get into this particular certification program that we have designed for you. What is the overall design of it? And then the logistics and next steps. So, what is coaching? The International Coaching Federation, ICF, defines coaching as a creative process that helps clients to achieve their personal and professional goals. We're saying right here, coaching is a process, and a process is there's an art to it and there's a science to it. It is something that can be used both for personal and professional goals. Any kind of goal that we want to work towards, coaching is a process that can enable that, and it's a creative process I mean, if I may say, it's a co-creative process where the uh, coach is holding the container for the client to find that process. And this is what the next step is. It says that goes on to say coaches help clients to discover their potential and develop new perspectives and strategies. So the whole belief of coaching is that the potential is something that already exists within the client. It's like the blueprint of the tree is present inside the seed. Right? We just have to provide it the right conditions for the seed to sprout and become a tree. And here, the right conditions are the new perspectives, are the strategies. Because sometimes we have things from the past that are holding back. We have limiting beliefs about the future. So, our beliefs are what create our reality, and coaches help clients to make those shifts that will uncover their potential. I also want to say that the International Coaching Federation is not the only organization or accrediting body. There are other accrediting bodies as well for coaching. And there are people who get coached, who get trained, and need not associate with an organizing body as well. So just wanted to put that out there. This is one of the bodies. We have aligned with this. It's the largest professional sort of body in the world, and the most widely accepted, and that's why we have aligned with ICF. Also, pausing, it's important to understand the difference between coaching and some other professions. So I'm going to take the name of these professions and I'd love to hear from you. What is your understanding of the difference between, let's start with therapy. What's the difference between coaching and therapy? Any ideas, any thoughts?
Maybe therapy involves more clinical or practice-based component as a professional, perhaps.
Okay. Yeah, there is diagnosis that happens. There are tools for diagnosis and then a labeling and then what to do with that. And sometimes that also comes with medications if you're going to a psychiatrist. But if with a psychologist, then it's working with that. Yeah. Arjun?
I think therapy is about the end purpose of therapy is to heal.
Mm.
And for coaching, it would be achieving certain personal and professional goals.
Mm. Yeah. Yes, that's another important, beautiful difference. And coaching is healing in its own way, but therapy focuses a lot on the past. What happened and how do you look at that and how do you process it? And coaching, like you said, it's actually forward looking, future oriented, and looking at the present as a way to enable the future. Yeah, beautiful. What is the difference between coaching and mentoring?
So coaching, the way I understand is that it is about enabling the coachee to really discover the the issues or the path ahead. Where mentoring is kind of guiding the person to say, okay, this is what you should be doing. So the coach in a mentor
Mm,
is in a lot of way prescriptive that this is what you should be doing good. But the coach is never prescriptive. Actually, coaching is a process of making the coachee discover uh, how and they should approach the issues that they are facing and enabling them to find their own path.
beautiful. Beautiful.
That's what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah. That prescription versus self-discovery. That is
Yes.
the difference. Beautifully said between mentoring. And you use the word should, because in mentoring, there's a lot of should that comes in. Typically, a mentor is someone who would have a lot more experience in the same thing that we're trying to work with. And they'll come from that and say, this is what worked for me, and this is why you should do it. And there is a place for mentoring. We all need mentors from time to time. We're just acknowledging it as different from coaching, where it's about the client discovering what is right for them. Arjun, anything you wanted to add to that?
No, same thing, that mentor typically is somebody who has been in your position, like would have held the similar roles or had a similar career path. And
Yeah. Yeah. So therefore, yeah. What's the difference between, I mean, I think this is sort of covered, but there are lots of healing modalities, right? So what's the difference between typically, like let's say a healing modality, it could be Reiki, for example, or other things that we see in that category. What's the difference between such healing modalities and coaching?
In extension of what you mentioned, Garima, before, that healing is concentrated on wounds from past, right? It will help you get rid of all the vicars or the things that are not helping you over the period of time. And coaching is something which is, coaching is guidance from your coach who will, handhold you for some time and prepare you for the future.
So yeah, future versus past. Yes. Also, I think I heard a little bit of a difference. Maybe like you alluded to it a little bit around how the coach is hand holding, but it's really the person who is walking the path ahead.
Yes.
Typically, in a lot of healing modalities, there is a healer who is doing the process, who's running the process for us.
Correct.
Right? If you're in a
Correct.
sound bath, for example, you just lie down passively and the healer is doing the work.
Yes.
In Reiki, you may not even be aware when someone can be giving Reiki at a distance, right, to you. So it's the healer who is doing the work largely. Here, it's the client who is doing the work largely. The healer
Yes.
is the coach that is providing a container for it.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's important for us to understand what it is not also equally as we step into it, because these will be some of the boundaries, and for you to see, right? Each of the things that I mentioned, being a therapist, a mentor, a healer, each of these are beautiful professions, just as beautiful as coaching. So for you to also see, who do you feel aligned to be, right? What calls out to you, that is important. One of the participants I'm reminded of, from our first batch, where the participant came in with a particular understanding of coaching, which was aligned to the healing profession that she was in. And she discovered through the process that actually I want to be a healer, not a coach. And, that clarity itself was beautiful. So I'd also ask you to spend some time before itself, reflecting on it, experiencing coaching, so that you make the decision. Like, how do you wish to show up in the world? Okay. I'll come now a little bit to Swasth approach to coaching. So what is Swasth approach? Because again, coaching can happen in many ways. Our approach, there's this word Sampurna, which is all inclusive. So we do a holistic coaching that engages the body and the energy, the mind and the emotions, and the intuition and spirit. So oftentimes I've seen coaching can get reduced to mind and mental work, like ask why 7 times and then you'll uncover the root cause, right? Which is a very mental exercise, can be. But what we are trying to do is to engage the body, the emotions, and all of these other faculties as well. Because it's like having 6 horses. Each of these is a horse that gives you horsepower. And when all of them are aligned, that's when we can move forward in the direction that we want to. Swaraj is another part of our work, fostering participant independence by building knowledge and skills. And while again, coaching by itself is something that is designed towards independence, at Swasth, you all also know that we, do a lot of different workshops, provide tools so that people can start finding their own self and their own grounding as well. And that's what we also try to do as coaches, that actually provide tools to people where outside of a session, they can use that tool for their own journey as well. So we're not fostering dependence on the coach, we're building that capacity in the client itself. And finally, Sahaparivar, which is enabling harmony in all aspects of a participant's life: home, work, social, personal. Again, here, like sometimes some coaches prefer to operate in niches, and you can still do that after the training. You can always operate in a niche. But our belief is if someone is coming in with something that's happening at work, that pattern is likely not limited to work alone. It is showing up in different aspects of their life. It's like the if the soil is unhealthy, the different leaves will be unhealthy. And you can spend time looking at the different leaves and being like, oh, let me cut this, let me prune this. But you work on the underlying soil, the underlying beliefs, the underlying being. So that's what we try to do, is to take this all-inclusive aspect also. So the coaching is not limited to one thing. It may start with one thing, but it will eventually touch other aspects as well. These are some of the values that we do our work with: serving with love and bringing joy, striving for excellence, being fair and honest, sharing the ownership, innovating for impact. Like these are our values. And all of them are held by this very, very deep roots, which I'm glad many of you talked about: be the change. The biggest thing that we can do to support a client is to apply this in our own lives. This is not just gyan giving. This is about bringing that into our life, because that's when your energy field, your nervous system will change. And when your nervous system gets regulated, it will automatically shift and impact the nervous system of the other person. Some of these aspects of our approach we have shared at different forums. The Association of Coach Training Organizations Worldwide, ACTO, has called us in at least thrice. We've shared our learnings there. The place from where we ourselves got trained as coaches, the CFT coach training, I go there almost once a year and share some of these aspects of our approach, and the Indian Yoga Association as well. So it is different, but it is also being recognized by people as something that is valuable. And that's what gave us the confidence of now saying, okay, this is working. Why not enable other people to get trained and coach through this method as well? Okay, so I want to pause here and invite, up until this point, if there are any thoughts, comments, questions. Yes, Shesh.
I want to know about whether there is an overlap between the professions or practices we've discussed, between coach and healer and mentor. I mean, just to, understand whether there is a Venn diagram involved or they are completely aloof.
Yeah. What is your sense about the Venn diagram? Great question.
I think, as you said, right, things are at the root, so they are evolving from the same root. So obviously they will share a Venn diagram, but I'm not sure how much overlap and,
What seems to be the overlap? What seems to
I
be a
think
common point?
one of the common points you said is the present will always be involved, understanding the present condition of the participant or the client. And then some of them may, be more inclined towards the past, as healing suggests, be more suggestive of an underlying medical condition or so. And the other aspects, if you see, of coaching is more, I would say, inclined towards future as well. It is holistic in nature, it could be the sense. And about healing, I am not having any idea as of now.
Yeah. I love the inquiry that you brought in, and agree with all of that you said, that finally it is all showing up. Everyone is working in the present. I also see that commonality being the core intention of what we're trying to do. It is for some form of support to the individual in their life. And that way, I think it is it's very much connected at the roots. And also, one person, it's not necessary that there is a different healer, different coach. One person can have the capacity. You can be a coach for some time. You can also step into the space as a healer. So each of us also have the ability to switch hats, because these are different roles. Like, you step in and you're a a brother for some time and you're a son for some time, and there's a, you're a friend and a colleague, they're playing different roles. These are also different roles and different ways of showing up for the person. And it is possible to switch those as well. I just wanted to bring that out, that it doesn't mean that it's just completely different people also. You can be a healer and you can be a coach, but stepping in with awareness in that moment, how are you showing up? And there, I think you said this important point of what works for the client. That is also important. What is the client looking for? You are here to be a coach, but the client is just saying, tell me what to do, tell me what to do. I need advice. That's when the client needs a mentor. So, in the integrated coaching that we do at Swasth, we do keep space for some other modalities and other ways to also show up in phase 2 of the journey. There is space based on the situation, but primarily 80 to 90%, this is about showing up as a coach, because it's very easy to get into, typically with our conditioning, that advice giving and that mode. So we will focus a lot more on 80 to 90% of the time show up as a coach, but there is that breathing space to show up in different ways based on the need of the situation as well. When you get into, if you're moving towards phase 3, ICF, that's when ICF is like, no, we only want to zoom in on how are you as a coach and see that. So it needs awareness that it should be a conscious shift that you're making, and the ability to hold the boundary that, yes, the person really wants me to give an answer, but right now I'm not going to give that. And I'm going to enable them to find that.
Thank you.
Ekta, yes.
Yeah, so this nice visual is coming, they are like torches. Each of these modalities is like torch, and their lights may overlap, but they are throwing their light on the same path, which is the path of the future of the client, right? How they, in the end, they will overcome maybe their past limitations, or what we call as past patterns, and carve their new path towards the future. It's only where the light is directed. Is it focusing directly on the past, for example, via healing? Or is it focusing on the present problem, which is more coaching? Okay, what problem are you coming with? What is the solution that you're looking for? And then navigating, which will lead to an auto discovery of maybe one aspect of the past in that coaching session, or maybe not. Still, the path to future will be lighted.
Yeah, love that. Just where are you shining the light? That can be different. Yeah, beautiful.
Right. But the path is still the future path.
Yeah. Yeah, because our past determines our present, that determines our future. So it is all interconnected. We cannot separate all of them as well. It is all interconnected. The present and the future will shift how you look at the past. You can look back at the same incident with very different eyes. So it is all interconnected as well. Yeah. Yes, Arjun.
So when we start coaching others, like in this process, what are the modalities? Like, who are the coaches? Are they like we coach each other, or like there are other people who will be coaching? Like how real it will be? Whether it will be like more like a mock practice, or
Yeah. Yeah. I'll come into the details ahead, but basically, to answer your question quickly, we'll do all of the things that you mentioned. There will be practice within us. There's a lot of peer coaching. There is also finding clients and you find your clients, because that's also one of the skills to learn as a coach, right? To build your practice. And you practice with clients who have never experienced coaching. You could practice with people who are also coaches. So all of those are there, and all of those are encouraged. The more practice you get, the more we will learn. I think that is also a central theme to it. So we've built in the requirements itself, space for a lot of practice, because practice is what will finally solidify the skill. Okay, so I'll move forward a little bit, and I'll go to how coaching. Right now, we're also talking of helping others, but how can you use the skill? So we believe that coaching is a fundamental skill. It's not just if you're working professionally as a coach. Yes, there it is possible, but you can use it at work to enhance your leadership skills, to improve your communication, team's performance, their productivity. Arjun, I know, for example, you teach, you're in the teaching profession. So, and you've mentioned how you can use this to show up differently for your students and to support them in a way outside of teaching as well. At home, once we're holding that space of kindness and compassion, then naturally it'll help us nurture harmonious relationships with family members, partners, children, create a supportive environment for them. In your own life, we again, some of you talked of that, like self-reflection. So as and this I think it happens more often than not, you're likely to get the same kind of clients who are dealing with the same issues you need to deal with in life. So as you support them to come to an answer, conscious coaches also pause and reflect for their own self, right? What is the showing within my own life that I need to look at? We've talked of being as a career. You could be a life coach, executive coach, wellness coach, different people you can specialize based on. This is where your past experience will also come in, right? If you have been in the corporate space, you may say, I'm going to become an executive coach. Based on your background and your experience and your education, you can also find your own niche. So essentially, the applications of coaching are manifold. It's a skill that can be used at different aspects of life. And I found this to be a theme in our previous cohort also, right? People talked of, one of our participants talks of how her 9-year-old son now says that, listen, mom, for some time I don't want you to be mom, I want you to be coach. Can you become a coach right now? So it's amazing how kids also sense that energy, right? Like, because as a coach, I know you will truly listen to me, you will be present for me. So other people around can also make that out. And that's when I got into my own coach training 8 years ago. I actually realized that I wanted to do this just for myself. I said, I don't want to help anyone right now. I just want to help myself. But it is through that process, as again, like my vessel got filled, I felt that, okay, now I want to offer it to other people. So yeah, you can use it in any aspect. You don't only have to do this if you're here to become a full-fledged professional coach. You may just want to show up differently for your own self, for your family. Okay, so a little bit about our approach to coach training. So it is going to be holistic. That's why integrated life coach certification. We'll have a small batch in the first two phases of around 12 participants. In the third phase, the capacity is up to 10 participants. There is also some one-on-one coaching that you get as part of being in this cohort. It is based on this foundation of being the change alongside. So, and this is very different from, in many cases, what the approach to coaching is in other places. So we will insist the first phase is on just self-work. Like that is the foundation that we are built on. And it's a modular journey. So it's 3 phases, and you could choose to just do phase 1 and 2. Even phase 1, there is a modular version of phase 1 that's available. So it's up to you as to how you want to sequence this out. Like, this is not a race to rush into to win, right? So doing it as per your need, as per. Okay. So build your practice, take coaching others. In the second phase, you receive a certificate from the Swasth Institute. And the third phase is when you could opt for that Global ICF International Coaching Federation certificate. So again, it is very helpful to have that, but there are many people who do not have an ICF certification. We'll come to it. When is ICF helpful for you? You may choose to not do third phase, and you can still work as a coach. Bharti, you had put something on as a question. What did you not get?
The phase wala thing you were saying, no? I couldn't get that.
Okay, I'll come to, this was just an overview. I'm actually now going to double click and do a deep dive into each of the phases as well. Okay. The next slide, I'm just going to pause and let you read this for yourself. What do you get? Show me a thumbs up when you've read this. The next slide is for you to know who your faculty will be. I will play the role of the overall lead through the 3 phases. Sandeep will also be present for some parts, particularly the somatic parts. He will bring that in. And we also have other people visiting as faculty, as guests. These are people who are coaches, and at different stages of their practice. Someone could be a freshly trained coach sharing their early stages in their journey, a mid-career coach, like different levels of people as well can be coming in as and when is needed for your journey. Okay. I'll come to this one now, eligibility. And not all of this is set in stone, but these are sort of like some of the boundary conditions, and we're open to looking at things also. But as of now, there's an age, medical and psychological fitness, fluency in English, which will be used as the primary language, technology and comfort, Zoom, Excel, Google Drive, Microsoft, because there's lots of submissions, lots of things to do. So we will assume that that is a given. Not joining from the phone. So we will ask that you would join from a laptop, a desktop, a tablet. Even as you become coaches, right? The experience of coaching from a fixed device is very different from being on your phone. So that will be the ask, that for all sessions you're showing up with this kind of a device with strong internet connection. Again, right? As you become coaches, your network needs to be solid. So have your backups in place, and the ability to have your audio video on without distractions, without limitations of space. All of this is just setting you up to be a coach your own self, because you'll need these as a coach also. You are attending this live, but for other people who are joining in or watching this recording will be a prerequisite. In this batch, we are giving preference to Swasth alumni who have either completed a workshop or a one-on-one engagement with us, because then there is alignment on the key principles of how Swasth works, how we approach it. So we will give preference to this. And to also those of you who have undergone at least 3 integrated coaching sessions with a Swasth coach. So I don't mean with other coaches outside. I don't mean if, for example, sometimes with me, you may just have had a conversation or a mentoring session, or just that's not what is being referred to. For you to have experienced integrated coaching is what is being referred to over here, because again, that helps you understand what you're getting into. And so there's a greater chance of selection. So it's an application process. And these are some of the criteria that will be seen. These are more like the boundary conditions, but it is a subjective process after all. And we just want to make sure that this is the right fit for you and for Swasth. If I think all of you are Swasth alums, but for anyone watching the recording, if they're not a Swasth alum, they can enroll for an upcoming workshop or one-on-ones and become a coach, become an alum in the next quarter, because we will start our process from January onwards. Okay, let me pause here and see if there are any questions up until this point.
Good morning, Garima.
Hi, Amrita.
So I wanted to understand about this medical clearances. What exactly does it mean, and what will be the process to get that clearance?
It's basically like you having spoken to, you don't need to provide that to us as a formal certificate, but it's just make sure that if there is any health condition, because it is a very intensive course, right? So you are in the right physical and emotional and mental state as well. If anyone is on any psychological medications or working through an issue at this point of time, I would request that you talk about it with me, because we will need to make sure that your well-being doesn't suffer in that journey of supporting others.
Sure.
Anything else? Okay. So we're ready to move forward. Now I'll start coming to, yeah, Arjun.
So how, like in terms of rigor, how it is different from like others coaching programs like the one you did at the starting, that LC, Leadership for Change thing. So
Yeah.
is there any fundamental difference in terms of rigor or and also like ACC certification and all, like is so that is also like we will get through this also, right?
Yeah, so that's a good question. Maybe I'll just take you through a little bit of how the overall journey as a coach is if you're getting accredited with ICF. So the first two phases are for someone who is not looking to become accredited with the ICF. Right? The first two phases are for that. You want to be able to support others and without necessarily aligning to ICF. So that's what the first phase is for. That being said, the whole curriculum, it's 99 hours across 3 phases. The entire curriculum is aligned to ICF. So you can complete the first 2 phases, which is it's around like 84 hours or so out of the 99. You can complete those phases, it'll be aligned to ICF still. The third phase is when you get basically at the end of it on successfully clearing it, and that means submission of a recording. Your multiple recordings, they're reviewed and assessed. So it is rigorous in that sense that yes, like there is a lot of review as per ICF guidelines. ICF has provided the overall guidelines for the kind of rigor that is needed. So that is what we are adhering to. And that's when you get basically trained as a level 1 coach from ICF. In the ICF world, it's the first step in the ladder of level 1. Now, after level 1, if some of you have heard the word ACC that Arjun talked of, Associate Certified Coach is I think what it stands for. ACC is a coach who has done a level 1 education and has got 100 hours of experience of coaching. So you can become ACC provided on top of this learning, you get 100 hours of practice as a coach. And you clear an independent knowledge assessment that is conducted by ICF. Like for that, you log on to the ICF website and they have their own assessment process. Again, all of the theory you will get prepared for in this process, but you clearing that assessment and you having the 100 hours of training is what will make you an ACC, which is the second step in the ICF journey. The third step is that there is a level 2 training. So like there's a level 1 training, ICF has 2 levels of training. There's a level 2 training. So the program that I had done or Sandeep had done we did a level 2 training, and some people have level 2 trainings directly. So in number of hours, that was like a 140 hour certification. It had a different time investment, a different budget, but you can also opt for a level 2 training directly. Swasth does not provide it, but there are other providers, including the one that we did, that you could opt for. After that, again, you get a foundational level of skills. There is something called a PCC. Just like there is ACC, there is PCC. PCC requires level 2 training plus 500 hours of coaching practice plus clearing your another knowledge assessment. That's PCC. And after PCC is MCC, which is 2000 hours of coaching practice and some more requirements. So basically, like any profession, right? When you become a doctor, you can become an MBBS, and you can specialize and you can super specialize and all of that. So this is a whole journey in itself. What we did is, even before ICF, we brought in another phase, which typically is not present, to say, because even for some people, ICF is also not necessary. It comes with a different budget. It is more helpful if you're trying to coach in a corporate. That's when they require and ask for you. Typically, they will ask you for your credibility for an ICF certification. But if you're going outside, there are many people who are not even trained as coaches and who are calling themselves coaches. So this is at least a certification. So you can still go out and set up your own practice at the end of phase 2 also. So does that help, like understanding the different layers? Ekta, anything you want to add about like just the approach that you have seen at Swasth with respect to coaching, like outside of the levels also, something you want to highlight?
Yeah, sure, Garima. So, specifically, I was seeing that there's a requirement that those who have done one-to-one coaching with Swasth may have also experienced, if you have done a one-to-one coaching session, may have also experienced Swasth coaching in person. So, the way Swasth coaching model and the approach typically differs is that it brings in a lot of holistic spiritual practices in the coaching space, either directly or indirectly, both. So, because the Swasth coaches have been homegrown up till so far and have experienced other Swasth aspects, being holistic, compassionate, uh, having your own inner ground before you even begin to help others is something which is inherent by virtue of being a Swasth coach. That's how I'll put it. And what is more explicitly brought into the sessions and which is very different from any other coaching institute is the somatic healing part, wherein we do recognize, understand that, and that's where the boundary between healing and coaching overlap for Swasth, where we do understand that past patterns, as Garima was saying, impact, influence, and directly shape our current behavior. And with somatic healing, there is an opportunity for Swasth coaches to help the client overcome those past patterns, even though our primary focus remains at coaching, at helping them with their current problem, not giving direct solutions. But again, somatic is also an indirect way of breaking the past pattern. So it aligns very well. The way I see it is a wrapper over and above any other coaching that will be provided, wherein it will be our coaching, Swasth coaching, will be wrapped with somatic healing and holistic aspects to make it far more deep and far more complete for the client.
Thank you for that beautiful
Questions?
explanation.
Yeah.
Yes, Bharti.
So, first of all, thank you to Ekta. A very nice way she has given the information. And secondly, when Garima, you were telling about the certifications, my question was that if somebody does only the phase 1, phase 2 from SWA, so get the certification from ICF, and somebody after doing the two, and someone decides to go with phase 3 or not, is that opportunity given?
Yeah. So I hope I understood your question correctly because your voice was breaking in the middle. Let me know if I don't answer it fully. So first to after phase 1 and 2, if you pause your journey there you get a certificate from Swasth, not from ICF. The ICF journey certificate comes at the end of phase 3. Now, some of you may be clear right now itself that I want to do all of the 3 phases, and you may sign up for all of those 3, right? And that's okay. But for some of you, that clarity may come towards the end of phase 2 also. And there is scope for you to enroll at that point of time as well. So, both of those are options. It is also possible that some of you may say that phase 2 feels good enough for now. I want to practice, I want to integrate, and I want to see after a year if I want to sign up for phase 3. And you could sign up for phase 3. We intend to offer this once a year. So next year is when you could sign up for phase 3. My only, I think, key recommendation in that case would be to keep your practice on, because you've got 85 hours of training, right? And for 1 year, if your practice falls, then everything you will forget. And the phase 3 is very, very rigorous. Like every week, you're submitting a recording, it's being heard, you're getting mentoring. So you also want to be at the peak of your practice. And that's why we highly recommend, if you want to do it in the same year, do it with your cohort. There's a lot of momentum, and you'll be able to sort of push through some of the challenges that will come up in the process. And Ekta, maybe when we come to phase 3, you can talk a little bit about those as well. Yeah? Okay. Okay, so now let me start coming to some of the requirements. Also, we're talking of rigor, so let's talk of some of the requirements as well. So, when is this happening? Live faculty-led immersion on weekends is when we have our live sessions, and then during the weekdays, there's largely self-led work with you or your peers. So it's designed in a way that it can fit into your schedule because live sessions are happening only on weekends. Phase 1 and 2 are a combined thing. So I will look at them together. But this is around 84 hours, and the third phase is 15 hours. There are different criteria for completion at each phase. I will come to that also. But largely, there is some personal coaching sessions where you get coached by one of the faculty. So either by Sandeep or me. There are some requirements for that. Attendance in live sessions, peer sessions, is where you connect one-on-one, and the number of hours of coaching that you do outside of this with an actual client, right? To really practice this. There are some requirements for that as well. There will be some assignments to submit. Written and mentoring competency assessments. So there are two kinds of assessments. One is written assessments. There'll be a lot more of written assessments in the first 2 phases. And then slowly you move on to mentoring as well. You get mentored, by me in this case. And faculty at each stage is also gauging your extent of involvement, participation, and so there is clearance based on that. At the total end, like of phase 2 and phase 3, there will be a recording of an actual coaching session that you submit, and there is a clearance based on that submitted recording also. So one personal coaching session is available each in phase 1 and phase 2. So you get 2 personal coaching sessions as part of it. If you have not experienced coaching, we strongly recommend that to strengthen your skill, you experience at least 6 coaching sessions at Swasth. You can sign up for that before the certification happens or during the certification. But that makes a huge difference to how you show up as a coach, because you have truly experienced a full session and multiple of those. So I want to call in Ekta maybe to talk a little bit about this, because Ekta, you had undergone like years of coaching. And what was the impact that had on your practice?
Okay, so I'll focus specifically on me being a client at Swasth, which is how I started my journey 3 years back with Swasth. And as I was talking earlier, that's purely very, very personal, very, very internal, but it has helped me shape who I am today. So for first 1 year, I didn't even know that I was doing somatic healing, what was called as somatic healing. It was just coaching for me. I would walk in with my problem, my current problem. And somewhere, most of those sessions were with Sandeep. Sandeep will help me deep dive into a past pattern, which will be revealed during the session. And we would just do some body work, which will technically help break that past pattern. The client needn't know of that. So those are that is the somatic aspect of it, and definitely there is a conversation that is leading to a solutioning of the current problem at hand. So both are happening in parallel, and it is shaping the new me. So that's how the past sessions have been. They are deeply, as I said, healing in an indirect way. And it will reflect directly in our next behaviors, how we act from a space of being more responsive, rather than being reactive. And therefore, the entire dynamics of behavior will change as we step into the future, whether it is at work, whether it is on a personal front, or whether it is any other challenge that we need to take a call on. Maybe it's a career decision, maybe it's a work or study related decision. So all that will start coming from a space of being grounded. And that's the impact it will have on us and then on those around us.
And I'm also curious, as you started your coach training journey, how did having undergone these sessions support you as a coach?
So, what is in the experience stays. So, as we go ahead and do our coaching, every small aspect of how my coach showed up during my sessions, what questions did my coach ask, how they paused, how silenced mattered, what thoughts came to my mind. Sometimes my coach would just ask, for example, to just pause and look around the room. And that came to me during my coaching session. So, how the coach has showed up, stayed grounded, smiled, silenced, responded was in my nervous system by the time I was being a coach. So, those 6 sessions will really help. In any way, if not being a coach, they will help being the person we are. So that benefit in itself is very complete.
Thank you. Okay. So I'll come a little bit to the timelines and now the specifics of things now. So basically, the first phase is what starts from the 31st January weekend. Weekend before that, I think, is a long weekend. So this time we've delayed the start by a week. We'll start from there. So it's a 5-week process, is the phase 1. Then you'll see there's 10 days that is also built in for any requirements if you could not complete in this period. Right? If there were assessments that could not get cleared or assignments that could not get submitted, there is 10 days to complete that as well. It is obviously highly recommended that you start completing everything side by side because it supports your journey and also just avoids building pressure up. And I'll do a double click on this also. But after every phase, there is time built in for completions. Then we enter this phase of coaching others, which is basically, you'll see there are like 7 Saturdays and the time between that. Then again, 10 days for completion and a final closing session. So it's 8 Saturdays in all with a gap in between. After this, if you're signing up for phase 3 is when there is again a 1 month long gap, which is because now you've learned things. This is the time for you to start getting ready for phase 3. So if you need more clients now, you need to do practice, you want to self-study, because this phase is a short one and it's a very rigorous one. So this is the time that you have to sort of level up your learnings and to have the foundation ready in order for you to start phase 3, which is 4 weeks of a process. So high level, this is what the design is. And all of the timings will be basically in IST. So for those of you who are joining in from other countries, your time will change as per, I think March is when the daylight saving time changes. So please budget for 1 hour of shifting after somewhere in this time frame from phase 1 to phase 3 or phase 2. Yes, Ruchi.
We haven't decided that we have the dates, but time hasn't been decided, or
a time has been decided. So time is basically, and I'll come to it in the next slide, but the time is 6 to 9 a.m. IST for our Saturday sessions.
will be
Which would be
Friday evening.
5:30. Right now it's 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. for you. After that, it would become 4:30, I guess. What happens in
4:30
March?
to 7:30. 4:30 to 7:30. No. In before March, it will be 4:30 to 7:30 because the time will change in November right now.
Yes. So it will change in November, right? Yes.
So 4:30 to 7:30 in the beginning, and then it'll be 5:30 to 7:30, 8:30 later.
Yeah. So 4:30 to 7:30 in the first phase, basically, that 5-week period, and then 5:30 to 8:30. Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
What day is it, Garima? Sorry, I just joined.
This is Saturday's IST.
Oh,
So it'll be Friday evenings for you.
Friday evening. Okay, got it. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, may join at the perfect time. Okay. So we'll come to now phase wise. What is the breakup? Again, I'm just pausing here. You can read on your own. Phase one is coach yourself. So for those of you who have done Vichar or Awaken with Swasth, this is largely what phase one is about. And this is where we learn to work with our own self, build up again like a tool for self-healing, self-growth, which is journaling. So in our live sessions, basically, what is happening is, as you can see, the 2.5 hours are Vichar slash Awaken curriculum is getting covered. But the first 30 minutes of it are FAQs because you will have assignments as well. So we'll be discussing those. So that is curriculum that is not typically covered. It's not covered in a Vichar or Awaken setting. And then outside of these 5 Saturdays of 3 hours each, actually I've put 6:30 to 9:30 a.m. IST. Now I'm wondering why that's the case. Okay, let me pause and come back to the timings in a minute from now. But offline, so outside of this, we have 3 hours across the week for 5 weeks. So this is like a suggested timetable, right? You have time for self-study, one written assessment, which is due within 2 days of the sessions. So, you study and you brush up and you submit the written assessment. Then there's time to journal, which is when you're applying the learnings in your own life with current situations, because this is about learning to coach yourself. And one day of actually connecting with a peer and the learnings that happen in the process. And in this entire journey, you also get one personal coaching session. So that is what phase one is about. So you can see Saturdays are your live sessions. Then you have self-study, written assessment, submission. Typically, you'll do that Sunday, Monday. And then because Monday will be the deadline for this, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are for your own journaling and your peer sharing. You can schedule that through the week. Every Saturday, you will be communicated who is your peer. So you get the whole week to set up a session with them anytime in that week-long period. Now I'll come a little bit to the kind of criteria just for you to get a sense. The passing criteria growing up in school were like 30%, 40%. Here it is 70, 80, 100. That's the order of magnitude that we're talking in. And we have our own relationship with the education system and the fear that percentages and targets and goals bring up for us. But the reason why we've kept this bar high is that you are dealing with people's lives, and knowing 30% or 40% is not enough. It is important for us to know as much as we can. So we have kept the bar high for all of the criteria. But at the same time, I think, and Ekta, I'll invite you to talk a little bit about that. Like the way we do assessments is not how assessments are typically done. We also do it in a manner that is nurturing and supportive.
Yeah. I'll come to that, but just on this phase one, I just want to say that even if we have done Vichar, like I had done Vichar before, and then there was this hat that yes, I know it. Knowingly or unknowingly, I was fully confident Vichar is something been there, done that, it's settled. But every time, and specifically this time, if I have done Vichara second time, it has revealed many more layers underneath. And there are two aspects. One is redoing reveals new layers. The second and more important aspect is that I myself has changed over the past 1 or 2 years as a person. My situation and dynamics have changed. So even repeating Vichar with the new depth and with the new dynamics is totally unrevealing, will reveal a new chapter. So there shouldn't be any hesitation in doing Vichar again. All in all, anyone who doesn't even want to be a coach, since this is recorded, right, in the long term, Vichar is very much, or this phase one is very much your journey to your growth and nothing else. I mean, it should be seen in that light and even executed I'm not coaching, I'm just instructing here that it should be done like that. But that's coming from my experience, that it's so beneficial. And on the assignments, very, very impactful. And that's another difference, that the coaching phase one, which is Vichar plus assignments and FAQs, they deeply changed my experience of Vichar itself, because that's where I started to realize the difference between various personality types. That, oh, once we do an assignment, I realized that, oh, there is someone who's called as a people pleaser, or someone who is a perfectionist, or someone who needs external validation. And we started identifying those characteristics. We mapped those characteristics to the personality types. So those live examples again really amplify the Vichar journey. So instead of doing Vichar, if we are doing the phase one of coaching, that's much more deeply impactful, is what I want to say.
Yeah, that's an important distinction that you brought up. It's like not doing Vichar again. This is actually phase one of the journey where Vichar is one of the components. And even hours wise, if we see, like 2.5 hours into 12.5 hours is what the Vichar component is about. The remaining much more than that is the other components as well.
Right.
We've got
And
these
on the
15 hours here and 2.5 here. Yeah.
so the
And-
assignments will reveal deeply. Yes, Garima, please.
Yeah. And I think like what you said on the assignments, basically there are two kinds of assignments. The journaling practice is what deepens your application in your life, because every week you're applying it to 3 situations, like a past situation, a present situation, something. So the journaling practice, and Bharti, to your question, that can be handwritten, photographed, and uploaded online, right? That is okay, because you can journal in a whatever way is convenient for you. The other assignment that Ekta is also referring to is where there will be questions on applying this to 10 different situations, because our truth is not the only truth, right? From a people pleaser's lens, the same situation will be different from your lens. So whatever, different patterns. So there is a deepening into my experience, but broadening into knowing that other people will have very different ways of looking at the same thing. And that part of assignments is on Google Forms. It's all sort of done electronically, and your scores are shared, and your comments are all shared electronically. But yeah, it's going to be fun. And the assignments are all also open book, right? So we're like, have access to whatever you need. Take all the time you need. So we're not imposing artificial constraints to bring that pressure. The idea is these assessments for learning, right? Not an assessment of learning, but this is something that is designed for you to learn, which is what I heard Ekta talk of, that you will learn in the process of these assignments and submissions. So that is your phase one. Phase two is when now you start learning how to coach others, right? So how do I coach others? And also, again, this is something that we do, which is again a unique thing. Just like in phase one, you learn how to coach yourself. In phase two, you learn how to mentor yourself. So there's also a lot of reflection that we are sharing tools for you to become your own mentor. How do I improve my coaching practice? Right? So that is also a skill that we are providing in this step. So we have a framework, a proprietary framework we use called iLeap, which is going to be used for learning how to coach others. Some of the components of that framework are around how do you regulate yourself, the client, deep listening, powerful questions that empower, how do you reflect back things to people, headline, appreciate, acknowledge. Like these are skills that help us to become effective coaches. How do you awaken new perspectives and new possibilities that a client may not be seeing in a dysregulated state? How do you propel forward? And the part that Ekta had talked of, right? Beyond the mind, how do you bring the soma in, the body in? Because that's where a lot of the trauma lies. And we do this not just as a session at the end, it's somatic work is built into the entire process, right? How do you listen, not just to the words, but to the energy? How do you listen to the body? How do you observe things in people? So Soma is sort of interwoven throughout the whole process. But what it looks like is that there are 7 Saturdays for 3 hours each where you're learning the skills. So you learn a skill, there'll be some demo, some practice, and you start practicing like literally from like your second session onwards, where you will all come in. Maybe I'll be a client someday, maybe someone else will be a client, and we're practicing, right? Because that's the only way to learn. So this is where group mentoring happens, right? Everyone is observing, learning from each other, providing feedback as well. The final session is a shorter 2 hour session. It's like your graduation ceremony that happens after that pause. Then I said 10 days for completions and our graduation ceremony at the end. So here you can see live is 3 hours, but offline is actually more. It's 4.5 hours across the week, right? So what does that look like? Again, time for self-study, submission, and a lot of peer practice. So one day you will become the person that you're paired with who will keep changing every week. One day you're a coach, one day you're a client. And again, so much learning happens through that as well. And then once a fortnight, right, for 1 hour, you'll be coaching. This is the minimum. This is the minimum that we suggest. More is always good, but at least once a fortnight, coach a client. So on an average, it comes to half an hour per week. And then there is 1 day of self mentoring, where you are pausing, you are reflecting on your practice as a coach through some questions that are given to you for reflection, and you're honing your own practice. So during this, also what will happen is you'll get one more personal coaching session here, but it's a longer one. This time it's an hour and a half because you get to be a client with one of the faculty, but we'll also pause and have a half an hour of debrief. What happened in the process? What did you learn? You can ask the faculty questions about them. Why did they do that in the coaching session? Why not something else? So again, it's a very personal way to learn. And your final session recording, final assessment is basically you submit an hour or 45 minutes of a recording, and there is some prep work for you to do. So that's the final assessment that happens. I'll come to the next slide and then I'll pause for questions. Again, just putting the criteria here for you, right? Completion of these, live attendance, 3 hours of live sessions, and then self-study, assessment, reflection, peer coaching, coaching a client, and self-mentoring. So self-mentoring will also enable you, before you step into Saturday, you'll have your questions, your insights about your own practice as a coach, which will then help you as you step in for the Saturday or for PST time zone Friday session. So, okay, Yamini has asked 2 questions. What's the difference between coaching and mentoring? So, Yamini, I think generally we covered this question at the beginning. So, do go through the recording. But in this context of your phases, when we're talking of coaching, it is what you understand of coaching and you have experienced it. Mentoring is when someone, for example, I will not show up as a coach for you and say, what do you think you want to work on? What is happening? I will come in with my experience as a coach and provide direct advice. Right? So mentoring is it is more, a little bit more prescriptive. It is a little bit more direct in terms of here's what you're doing well, feedback, all of that. That happens as a mentor.
Got it. Just to clarify, you said that phase 1 was about coaching yourself and phase 2 is mentoring yourself. So that's where I was confused.
Okay. No, phase 2 is the one-line description for phase 2 would be coaching others. That is the key thing, what phase 2 is about. But also a skill that you learn in the process is how do you mentor your own self as well, right? So how can you look back at a coaching session, and we'll share some markers with you that will help you identify, right? What did I do well? What could I be doing differently? That's what the self-mentoring is, what I was referring to.
Got it. So it's more about feedback, like how do you get feedback?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Bharti, what about the peer coaching sessions? You want me to repeat?
I wanted to know that how many such sessions would happen, because I couldn't get fortnightly wala thing, no? 1 plus 2 is written, so 1 plus 2 is what? The document.
Let me go back. So you're going to phase 2, right?
Yeah.
So phase 2, every week you get paired with a peer. So one day of the week, you are their coach. They come in with something that you coach them on, and then you discuss, share feedback, etc. And then one day of the week, you switch roles. You become the client, your peer becomes the coach. That's what happens for
So how
these.
many? This will happen for 6 weeks.
Yeah, for each of these weeks, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And once a
Okay.
fortnight, you're coaching a client. So basically, I think there is 3 to 4 hours of practice as with an actual client, like the hours that you do during phase 3,
Okay.
phase 2. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Arjun.
So when we coach a client, that is the actual client, do we need to record those sessions or something? Like video recording or something like that?
You don't need to record all of the sessions. In phase 3, there's a lot more recording required. But in phase 2, you only need to submit one recording at the end, which is going to be your assessment.
Okay.
That being said, we recommend that you start practicing recording, maybe not in the first few sessions, but as soon as you start getting your comfort as a coach, because just the process of getting recorded can bring up fears, your behavior can change. So you get your time to sort of work through some of those things in your own system also and get comfortable. You get comfortable, your client gets comfortable also.
But I'm also thinking from the client's perspective, like how comfortable they will be on getting recorded, especially if video recording is required.
Video recording is not required. Even in phase 3, video recording
Okay.
is not required.
Okay.
And we will support with like formats that you can use to get consent and all. But it is one of those things that not all clients are comfortable with getting recorded, and you'll go through your own process of figuring out. Some things that help is, for example, typically in phase 2, many people offer pro bono coaching. So you don't charge for it. And that becomes an energy exchange that, I'm providing you the coaching and can you let me use the recording? And the recording is not widely shared, like just telling them that it's only for my professional development and for that purpose.
Okay.
Okay. Should I move to phase 3? I'm also aware of time. So what I will do is I'll cover the content and then I will stay back for questions. So in the next couple of minutes, I'll try to cover the content. Phase 3 is where the ICF certification comes in, right? So the level 1 certificate from ICF. Here, what is happening is it's extremely personalized support. Isse pehle, a lot of the work is still happening in the group. Here, we're just trying to improve the practice of your coaching skills, right? So there's intensive practice, intensive review, feedback, mentoring for your coaching, and you're deepening your understanding of what does ICF look for in a coach. Because not all of that what ICF looks for and what Swasth coaching approaches, it's like a Venn diagram. There is 80% of it is common, but there are some differences in Swasth's approach and there are some differences in ICF's approach. So this is also helpful. Like you will need to reorient to this a little bit. Some of your skills may be overdeveloped, some underdeveloped. So there is some recalibration that is required in this phase also. But what happens is in the group, we have group sessions where there's live mentoring that's happening. And every week you're coaching clients, like at least one client a week. And every week you're submitting a recording, right? An audio recording, which I will use for your mentoring. So on that recording, you will get written feedback. We will have a discussion also for you to get feedback on and for you to refine your coaching practice. Your final assessment is a recording where in all likelihood there will be a completely independent assessor outside of Swasth who will be reviewing your assessment. So everything is preparing for that recording also. All of the recordings that you're submitting in the weeks before, the 3 recordings you submit, the 3 one-on-one sessions with me are all to fine-tune parts of things. So the clearance is finally this final assessment being cleared in the ICF system. And how does this happen? 2 hours live, right? Theory, discussion, mentoring. Here every week, we will double click on ICF competencies, right? Phase 2 was about Swasth framework, ILEAP. That's what we use. Again, 80% of it will be transferable directly, but there will be new things. So now the theory will be, let's understand ICF competencies. What is same, what is different, and let's practice there. And during the week, you're coaching, submitting a recording, receiving written feedback, and having a live session with me as well. So, like I mentioned, there is some recalibration of skills from phase 2, the Swasth certification, to phase 3. For example, for those of you where somatic work may be your strength, right? Now we will say reduce that a little bit and increase the mental and emotional part of things, right? So your ICF is a lot more attuned to the kind of questions you ask as well. So that is what you will need to increase the practice of, or increasing the practice of how much focus you're bringing into a setting a very clear agenda, not a high level thing that a client wants to focus on, or focusing on accountability. So something you will reduce and something you will increase. That's what phase 3 prepares you for. There's also some people, like I know in the first cohort, some people signed up for phase 3 even without the intention of becoming an ICF accredited coach, just because there was so much feedback that is being provided. If 3 recordings are being reviewed, there is a lot of time that I am investing, and that's why we have a lesser. We're working with smaller group size also. So some people just sign up to say, no, I want to get more feedback and I want to like really sharpen my edge and become a better coach through this process. Yes, Smriti.
Garima, how will we get clients? Is it totally our responsibility to find out clients, or Swasth will also help us?
Yeah, good question. And in phase 2, we do support a little bit. Like, for example, what we did last time is on our own community, alumni community, we posted this, that who was looking for pro bono coaching, right? So, and if Swasth is helping you get clients, will be pro bono. We will ask you to be super responsive because you are also becoming the face of Swasth in some ways, right? So you need to live up to those standards. But that way, you can get clients as well. But we highly recommend not relying on that as the only thing. Think of that as an additional support that is provided, right? That's a backup. Because as a coach, putting yourself out there, telling people, right, getting clients is also part of the journey. So let that be the primary, and we do support. Third phase is when Swasth will say, you would have gotten ample support in the second phase. So we say then, you start finding your own clients, and some of the previous ones also continue, right? From phase 2. Okay. Okay, I'll come to the last, I think 2-3 slides. So we'll complete this process. Does it have to be different clients? Yeah. So there again, I think there are some guidelines. I don't remember them exactly, but more than one client, not just one, because you get some diversity, but it does not need to be a different client each time. In fact, that is also not recommended, because then you're not getting to go inside someone's journey also, right? So some balance of more than one client, but do more than one sessions with the same client also. But this is also a process. You will start off with maybe 5 people, and then you'll see it's not getting aligned, so you'll have your self-doubts coming up. You will see what are they looking for. So this process of filtering and finding clients who are aligned with you is also a learning process. Okay. So in terms of the financials, the fee is pretty much comprehensive. Typically, there are different components, but it's all built into it. Group sessions, personal coaching, personal mentoring, group mentoring, examination, the batch admin fee, and the certification as well. If you are unable to clear any of the competency assessments, then there is an additional fee that comes in. And for any reason, if we don't have the quorum to do this batch and it needs to be cancelled, then you will obviously get your free refund, full refund in. For phase 1 and 2, there are 3 scholarships that are available. We already are doing this at a very, very, I think, discounted rate. So there is 3 scholarships that are built in to this, and you can apply for those if you fall into any of these categories or outside of that. Scholarships are not available for phase 3 because phase 3 is actually very optional, right? It is if you're going in with ICF, then we ask for you to make that investment from your side. You can start your coaching practice right after phase 2. So that's the point till which scholarships are available. I think from now until November 30th, there is early bird fee that is available. The fee structure is here. It's also shared in the document. But the scholarship is a 50% scholarship. And for some of you, if you don't qualify for the scholarship, but some installment plan may help, then in some of those, we are open to looking at installments, but only if there is a genuine need. So I think just being clear of that, because there's already a lot of support that we have provided from our side. And in rare exceptional cases, if you need support beyond the scholarship, we may consider that also. But again, like it is for genuine need as well. Phase 3, the early bird is available till end March, or like otherwise you can do it at the end of phase 2 also. So there is a regular and the early bird fee. And here installment options are available. And only in an exceptional case, again, we may consider a scholarship, but that's not the default, as opposed to here where we are announcing scholarships from our side as well. And this is our second cohort. We are also learning. And so we have subsidized the fee compared to what it will be from the third cohort onwards, from 2027 onwards. But we are looking at this as a learning process for you and also for us. So in terms of next steps, basically, if this is something you want to pursue, fill the application form. If you're selected, you will be informed. There may be you will be informed, and either way you will be informed. There may be some back and forth also to understand if there is an alignment. So we may contact you. I may have a conversation with you. After selection is when the payment happens, right? And your enrollment is considered complete when the payment has happened, not when you put in your application form. Enrollment is complete when the payment has happened. So there's 10 to 12 seats, and it's blocked on a first pay, first serve basis. So after this stage is when the seat will get blocked. So it will happen on a rolling basis, the admissions. Also, right now, we are only promoting this internally, right? So it's just in the alumni group that we have shared this. So if you are interested, we recommend that you complete this process, full process, before mid-October. After that, we will open this up more widely to a broader audience. But we are very interested in getting as many alumni as possible. So that's why we are prioritizing this with you first. If someone is not a Swasth alum yet, we've just shared today our calendar of workshops, right? So complete something, an engagement or a workshop. If you haven't done Vichar or alum, you can awaken. There's actually an in-person workshop that's happening in Bangalore. And in-person has a very different and a very deeper sort of sense of learning also. So just to get that in-person experience also, you could consider that. And you can consider signing up for a one-on-one coaching engagement, either right now or during your certification experience, to get a more immersive experience of what this looks like. So I think in terms of content, this is clear and complete from my side. I'm looking at the timings and I realized I said 6 to 9, but everywhere else in the document it's 6:30 to 9:30. And I think, Ekta, that was what our batch also was. That's what I checked up.
Yeah. It was 6:30 only.
Okay, it was 6:30 to 9:30. That being said, again, in the next week, right, I am open to seeing before, again, we're sharing this widely, seeing if 6:30 to 9:30 doesn't work for people. And if there is something else that works for the cohort. But it'll either be 6:30 to 9:30 or it'll be 6 to 9. As of now, it's 6:30 to 9:30. How many one-on-one coaching sessions? Like 6 is what is recommended as a minimum to get started and to start experiencing this. But like bare minimum, if you just want to experience what coaching is, you could sign up for one session. Right? If you want to make that integrated in your life, then 6 is what is recommended. And then everything in between. Okay, any other questions?
Garima, I have a question. So, what is like if in terms of, because this is a long process, right? From January to June or something, right? Phase 1, phase 2. So if there is like, if you have to travel emergency or something like, few weeks, there is a gap, like what is the flexibility in terms of completing the requirements of phase 1 or phase 2?
So, like you can double click on this particular part of the PDF, but you'll see that there is 10 days odd that is provided for completion between from one phase to the next one. That being said, there is something that is a fixed thing, like live sessions, 80% attendance in that. So that is something that won't shift because live sessions is where the group mentoring and live things are also happening. So as long as you can ensure that whatever happens, you're doing the live sessions. Maybe you miss half of one session, half of another. That's how, something there is still flexibility for. But that it's good to attend as much as you possible. Other things are 10 days.
Got it.
Garima, I need to leave now.
Yes, Amrita.
I've got the content, and as of now, there are no questions. More or less, I guess it is quite inclusive. So, if at all it comes up, anything comes up, I'll definitely connect back.
Sure. Yes.
Thank
Great.
you for your
Lovely.
time.
Thank you. And yeah, anyone who needs to leave can leave. Again, this recording, I will put it on the group. Any questions that you have, please put it on the group. That would be better than putting it on DM because oftentimes someone else may have the same question. So put it on the group and I will address that. With respect to Bharti's question on scholarship cases, are installments available? Yes, that is an option that will be available. So you can put it in your application form as to what kind of support are you looking for. And validity of the certification from Swasth, it is valid to say that you have learned this from Swasth, which has its own credentials. But again, if you're looking to become a coach in corporates, particularly, that is where an ICF certification is what is helpful. But for you to start your own practice or to align with other organizations, like you can share Swasth credentials, and that is good.
But with ICF, Garima, they have validity, no?
What do you mean by
ICF.
validity? It depends on the definition.
Validity, like the expiry, the expiry date
Oh,
comes.
that's what you're referring to. So ICF ACC has an expiry system. So I think it's for 3 years or so, and you need to renew for ACC. But once you have gotten
So this
level
would
1
be,
trained, you've gotten level 1 trained. There isn't a validity for that.
no, this would not be ACC. I mean, if somebody completes phase 3 as well.
No, for that, go back to the recording. I had shared all of the steps
Okay.
in detail with Arjun. ACC is the next step that doesn't require additional training. It requires more hours of practice, 100 hours of practice, and clearing one knowledge assessment. So this is preparing you for all of the theory of ACC, but there is 100 hours of
Okay.
practice and clearing an assessment. So that's the
Okay.
standard method with all coach training institutions. No one provides an ACC. Everyone provides a level 1 or a level 2 certification. ACC is what you do on your own through your practice and assessment.
So level also comes with some expiry date from ICF.
Can you repeat?
Level 1, does level 1 also comes with some expiry or validity date from ICF?
No, level 1 doesn't come with
No.
expiry. No. But if to get
Okay,
ACC, I
okay.
think those requirements you may need to see that if you want to get ACC, when did you complete your coach training certification? That ICF may have some requirements. How fresh are you with respect to your training? So that is something you can look up on the ICF website.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, Shesh.
Yeah, for the age bar, is there any age bar in ICF as well to start with?
No.
Okay.
And I think that age is bar is it's a guideline. It is not set in stone. We are willing to look at exceptions before and after as well. So if you have a strong case, put it up.
No, I have crossed 30 already.
You have? Okay.
I'm closer to 33 now.
Really? You still look like in your 20s, yeah. Good as a compliment, I mean.
Thank you.
Okay, what other thoughts, questions? This is open space. You need not ask a question. You can also share what is coming up for you. That's something you feel like sharing because the slides are very, this is what the journey is like, but anything you want to share?
So I'll just say that just go for it. I mean, begin and maybe if it doesn't resonate, can pause. As I said earlier, the phase one is purely very, very deep, going inside our own reflections. That's which are, and that's like any other Swasth course. Can be take seen in that light, and it will help then develop an essence of where one wants to be in the coaching space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one difference from the previous cohort to this one that we made is early phase 1 and 2 were also modular. So someone could sign up only for
Yeah.
phase 1.
Yeah.
This time, what we've done is if you want to experience that, then you sign up for Awaken that is happening this quarter. Because the batch size is also limited. For someone who is unsure of becoming a coach, like it's almost like blocking a seat for someone who may be clear and saying, I
I
don't
see,
want.
Garima. Yeah.
Yeah, phase 2 also. But yeah, I'm glad you brought it up so I can clarify the difference in the two. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ruchi, Yamini, I'm just curious since both of you are here from a timings perspective, how is that 6:30 AM IST, is that doable? 6:30 to 9:30?
Right now, it seems fine to me, like 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Yeah.
I think same here for me also. I feel like just make your plans accordingly.
Accordingly, yeah. 1 day a week, basically, for a couple of weeks. Yeah, do that.
Yeah.
Because I think India-wise, be 6:30 is better. I think 6 a.m. might just be too early. So for someone to be like, 6 a.m. I need to coach is advanced
Yeah.
level practice.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. The later it's better for me, at least, so that, can do the cooking and all, whatever is done, right, for dinner and all. So,
Okay.
yeah. Because,
So,
yeah, I'm just thinking when the time changes, it will become 5 to 8, right? So, yeah, if you're able to
So
push it out
Yamini,
even later.
when we do it in January, it'll start 5 to 8, and then after March it'll become 6 to 9, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
It is every year we do that, but it's so difficult.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but that should for me, I think it's
Okay.
just knowing that that's what
Yeah.
we will do. Yeah.
And Arjun has also said that for you also it's better, right? So India-wise. So then I think what is written was right, 6:30 to 9:30. So we'll go with that then. Decision is taken.
Yeah, what happens is that initially we take all the energy that I have to join at 6 and 6:30, whatever, right? And at the end of it, because you've done it for those 6 months, suddenly there is a void on the Saturday morning. That's what we all experienced, that we all said, okay, let's just get together because we are now so used to meeting at 6:30 every week.
So true. Yeah. I'm reminded of some of the other longer workshops that we used to have where Arjun has done those, like the longer versions where it just feels like this is a group I get to see. Like every week I'm speaking to a peer, every week something is happening. Okay. So everyone feels complete, then we'll close sign off for now, and I'm available on the group. And Ekta, you can also stay back on the group for a few days, weeks.
Sure, sure. Anytime, please, if I can help in any way, one-to-one or over the group, I'm available.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah.
Throughout the
So
journey. Yeah.
lovely. Yeah. So if you want to speak to Ekta about her experience, that's great. Thank you for offering that. I'll put that on the group also.
Thank you.
Thank you.